All right, back to that story I told you about, right? Bill collectors sliding into your DM just to get in touch with you. So, as we said earlier today, reaching out to you, right? They must properly identify themselves once they slide into that DM. The new financial regulations actually went into effect November 30th. All right, there we go. All right, Rob, I may have to ask you to blink. Okay, you shook your head. So now I know we're
I'm
good.
here.
You're here. We got financial advisor for Wilson Insight, Rob Wilson. Thanks a lot for joining us, sir. So tell us a little more about this. I mean, actually sliding into your DM. Is this because technology is advancing and they're just staying up to date with everything?
Yeah, it really is. You know, there are a lot of things that go down in the DMs, and unfortunately, it may be your credit score now as well. Look, the rules didn't necessarily ban this before, but now they have clarified that the debt collection companies can actually use these tools, which include social media, but also text messaging and email as well. So I think to be fair to the debt collectors, because look, if you go out there and you do borrow money, you should pay it back. So I think they want to be fair to the debt collectors and say, we can, update ourselves into the new millennium. And so you can contact people via these methods. But the CFPB is still wants to protect consumers and has a lot of protections there on that side of it as well.
All right. Well, what are some of those protections? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so just like when any debt collector calls you, they have to say that they are attempting to collect a debt. Anyone who's gotten any calls, I'm sure, have heard that before. And they also have to give you an opportunity to opt out. So if someone reaches out to you on text message, social, or email, they have to give you a way that you can opt out, which means that you can avoid having those messages in the future. And also, any messages they send you cannot be public. So they're not going to go post on your wall on Facebook so all of your friends can get into your business and see what's going on. It has to be a private message so that those communications are just between you and the debt collector.
So do you think, or better yet, has this been an effective means of communicating with the consumer so far? What's been the response?
Yeah, I think that there's some people who get really, really shaken up anytime they get some sort of comment or connection from a debt collector. And so this is going to inspire them into action in order to make some arrangements. Alternatively, though, the bad news is that this opens the door for a lot of scammers who are going to start to reach out to people through these methods and try to scare them into making payments on their debt. And so what I want people to make sure is that they do not fall for these scams. If you get contacted by these methods, I think you should opt out immediately, but you should inquire as to whether the debt is real. And so you can always get the name of the debt collector or the company that you may owe, and you can place your own outgoing call to those agencies to make sure that you're talking to the right person. Unfortunately, especially during the holidays, a lot of these scams pop up. This new rule is out there now. It's going to draw a lot of scammers, but just make sure you protect yourself.
Yeah. So, Rob, how do we opt out?
Yeah, they will have a message in any communication. So there might be a link, there may be a number that you have to call in order to opt out. They will give you very, very clear instructions in any communication that they send to you on how you can avoid being contacted by those methods in the future.
I mean, this is just so unique. You know, back in the day, a bill collector would call me and I knew automatically who it was because they would always mispronounce my name. And then I'd be like, click. But now you can't hide. So what's been the response so far? And by the way, I've paid my bills. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I think people are really worried about the impending sort of annoyance of this. You're going to be scrolling Instagram on what is otherwise a calm, peaceful Saturday morning, and then you're going to get some messages in there from a debt collector that you would hope that you would get away from while you're leisurely scrolling your social media. But again, I think because the CFPB has stepped in and said, look, you have to identify yourself. Look, if someone messages you on Facebook and asks to be your friend and they're clearly a debt collector because they have to identify themselves as such, don't accept them as a friend. And otherwise, if you get a text message or a DM, just make sure you opt out. So people are very, very annoyed by this, but there are tools available for you to handle this as well.
All right, Rob, it's about that time of year where we start making our New Year's resolution. And for a lot of folks, that usually means cleaning up their credit. So talk about some steps that folks can start taking now to be prepared for the new year.
Well, first of all, I'd say that if you haven't done all of your Christmas shopping, just make sure you don't go too overboard. I see a lot of people not really accounting for the amount that they're going to spend during the holidays, and that totally wrecks their entire budget. And they have to do some cleanup and damage control come January, February, and March. So do not go overboard. Look, getting a bunch of extravagant presents, it's not going to make you a better husband or wife. It's not going to make you a better parent. It's not going to make you a better friend. And if you really ask the people that you care about, they may just tell you, like Mariah Carey says, all they really want for Christmas is you. And that doesn't actually cost anything. But if you're still going to go out there spending, I would advise you to create a budget and make sure that that is the amount that you're not going to go over, whether you have that in cash, whether you put that specific amount on a debit card or a prepaid card, or you just have an envelope that you're carrying with you and you know when the money's out of there, it's all gone. Stick to your budget. Do not go crazy, and your credit score will thank you in 2022.
Rob, I learned a lot during this conversation, including you have a very eclectic playlist, sir, from Yo Gotti to Mariah Carey. All right. Rob Wilson coming out of the city of brotherly love.
You have to be a balanced individual if you want to succeed in this environment, you know?
Well said. Rob, thank you.